Oh, now I'm curious about one thing that you mentioned previously. Esperanto.
Yes, I do not speak it.
I know. Not many people do.
Actually, several million people do.
Really?
Several million.
At least
Several
a million.
million.
At least a million.
Wow.
Yeah, there are L1 speakers of Esperanto because their parents
there are
raised
L1?
them. Their parents raised them as L1 speakers of Esperanto.
My great-great-great-grandfather was actually one of the proponents of Esperanto in his region in northeastern Brazil.
Oh yeah.
He used to be this. He used to be the consular agent for France for the French consulate in Brazil. And then they moved him to the Belgian consulate for some reason. He left the French one and went to the Belgian one, apparently. And later in his life, I think after he retired, he just went traveling around Brazil talking about Esperanto. Like, just attending Esperanto conferences. I think that's where all his money went, though.
Well, it's very sad, actually, because Esperanto in the Soviet Union, it fell out of favor. And
Really?
so speakers of it were arrested in the 1930s.
Oh, so the Soviet Union once pushed for Esperanto, and then they arrested them.
Because it was, evil and Western.
So what was the idea of Esperanto? Was it to become like the world language, or?
Yeah, Zamenhof, he believed, at least based on my understanding, he believed that having one language would make it easier for people to communicate, and therefore there would be less conflict. And so he created it. He wasn't the first one. Volapük, I'm never sure how to pronounce it. That was a little before that. There was also Sol Re Sol, which was done by a French musician. And that is often considered the first one. But there are actually ones way before that. Even in as early as I think the 17th century, you have Slavic-speaking priests trying to come up with an aerial Slavic language that all speakers of Slavic languages would be able to understand. So so this idea of having this kind of language, that a universal language, is not. It's been tried in various forms for quite a while.
Sure. And how come it usually fails, in your opinion?
Well, I think one reason is Esperanto, again, has been pretty successful if you look at Conlang's constructed languages. I think that part of it's resources. Part of it is that, especially things like Esperanto and Volapük, they were still based primarily on European languages, specifically Romance languages, with some Germanic thrown in. And so then it's really only helpful to those people who speak those languages. And there is this Lidepla, I don't know if you've heard of that one, Lingua de Planeta, that was started in St. Petersburg. Where
Lingua de Planeta?
Yeah.
Sounds like a Latin language to me.
Well, it's spelled Langwa. But but if you look at the actual language, they pull words from the most common languages in the world. So in addition, there is Russian, German. I think there's German anyway. There's like French, Spanish, Portuguese, English, but also Hindi and Arabic.
Okay.
And I think Mandarin. And I don't remember the exact languages, but that is a fairly recent. It started in about 2006 or something like that.
Wow.
And so, that's an attempt that's been made. I think there's a few reasons for it. One of them, I think, is honestly because English is pretty much becoming a lingua franca. So if somebody wants to learn a language so they can communicate with people from all over, why not learn English? Or if you live in various parts of the world, there are local lingua franca that it makes more sense to learn, or lingua franca, however you say it. That people will learn. And so I think that's part of it. Partially, I think that honestly, it wouldn't have needed probably to be taught in schools. But you do find, I saw a book, for example, there's an author I like, P.G. Wodehouse. He writes humorous stories. There was a book it was one story of his that was written, I don't remember what year, like in the 1930s probably, and it had been translated into several different European languages, including Esperanto.
Wow.
So it did have quite a run.
Yeah,
and it is
dedicated.
still being spoken.
Yeah.
So I think, but tragically, Zamenhof's family, most of them died during the Holocaust.
Oh.
The ones who are still alive, it's sad because, he did have this idea. The other thing I think with these languages is